Hello, and welcome to session one, sort of session two. I don't know how I'm labeling this. We did our session zero setup session of Mountain Home, which is a Forts in the Dark game of settlement building. So this is the session where we kind of get into the play cycle, where we're going to meet our characters on site. We're going to learn more about Carrick Minor. We're going to learn more about how the system works for building up the settlements and play and expeditions and those kinds of things. That is our goal for tonight. And of course, since we're playing from PDFs and multiple printouts that I've stapled together, because I always have an easier time with that, we're going to be working through some of the places. This is the first time, like when I first read it, because it is still in development, hasn't got a final version, where when I was reading it on the screen reader and it said page number TBD, I was okay with that. Now that I'm trying to find things, I'm less okay with page number TBD. But regardless, it's a great book. If you're listening to this in early July, it is one of the games that is on the New Games New Year sale over at Drive Through RPG. So if this is at all interesting to you, please feel free to check that out. I get nothing from that, unless you follow the affiliate link that's in the YouTube channel. Just saying. Anyway, we are playing with a layered set of safety tools that I just briefly want to go over. I won't dwell on this each time, but I want to, just for the first couple sessions, remind us we have lines and veils. We have lines on sexual assault, torture by the PCs, slavery is anything other than evil, homophobia, and then we have veils on violence to animals, particularly domestic animals, and severe harm to bystanders. So right now, that's our baseline set of restrictions. And then next, we are obviously using the X card to help and calibrate from there. And then we have an open door policy if anybody needs to step away. Additionally, we have a romance matrix, basically to say your comfort level / interest with romance interactions at the game table. This is an important thing to do in case in a game which might otherwise be strongly romantic, and somebody wants to play an aromantic character or is less interested in that. It's always good to get those limits out there. And we have a roll with me on that same tab and our Pinterest board and link to the meeting. So I want to go through and have our players briefly reintroduce their characters so that we are reminding each other who we are and we're on the same page. And I'm going to ask you about your two guild people. Each of you have two people, someone who's helpful and someone who's a rival, right? So there are those people, and I'm going to be asking you about them. I know some people put in some names and things like that. If you don't know both of them, we just want to do one of them, that's fine. Or if you're like, hold off while I figure this out, Lowell, that's also a reasonable response when I come around. Sherry, you were in the hot seat last time. So Ethan, moving down the tab, we're going to start with you. Please tell us, remind us about who your character is.
Yeah, so I'm playing Tolan Rustax, who is a former farmer and laborer who's gradually become an artisan, and who still is in charge of the laborers guild. Um, and what else do I? Oh, his vice is secret crafting. I have
Oh,
not yet figured out what the secret crafting he's doing is. Uh, there's some kind of a thing that he's working on obsessively, but I haven't figured out what it is yet.
do you know
Uh,
why it's secret? Is it something that's forbidden? Do you think it's something that he's embarrassed about? Do you think it's something that he's been obsessive about? And it is he him, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's more embarrassed about. I don't think it's
Okay.
like actually forbidden, but
Mm.
that's subject to change if we decide that a certain kind of thing is forbidden.
Well, and
Um,
I like that it's just strong enough embarrassment that it forms a kind of vice for you that
yeah.
that pushes. And your laborers are independent and wild,
Yes.
which is a great combination
Yep.
for the labor group. Uh,
Uh,
Tell us about one or both of those people who figure in your guild there.
yeah. So my ally is Glodin Ironskull. Uh, I don't really know much about them off the top of my head. Uh, but my rival is Aslo Redhill, and I think she is the wildest of the wild flaw. She is outgoing to the point of obnoxiousness,
Okay.
very opinionated. Like, if she has a thought, it will be not just spoken, but shouted, probably drunkenly.
One of those people for whom any kind of like asking something to do things is maybe too much authority being put on them. Uh, uh,
Um,
or is it more just about like they have no self-control?
I think it's yeah, no self control, just
Okay.
like very impulsive, very like dramatic.
I like
There, there,
that.
there's no moderation whatsoever. It's like, yeah.
Do you imagine for your ally, is it a friend? Is it
Uh,
a work colleague? Is it someone who respects you? Is it just someone who's very professional? Like, what do you imagine that relationship is going to be?
um, I think an old friend. Yeah,
Okay,
that makes sense.
all right, good. That gives us some things to think about. Next up is Dozen.
Um, Dawson.
Dozen.
I whatever his weird name. I'm going to try and stick with that pronunciation. We'll see if
Okay,
it takes.
I'm going to
Um,
phonetically write it as Dazen on my thing.
so I'm playing Dawson Runejaw, he, him, who is a rune master and a member of the Shard Singer clan of Forge Masters. And it is not so much of a familial clan. It's a clan that people petition to join and qualify for and are accepted. It's mostly crafters of different sorts, but I think it's more towards like excellence in a field sort of thing. Let's see. He's very good at things that have to do with magic and making magic things. And he's less good at other things, but we did end up with a nice spread there.
Yeah.
Um, Obsession. I think I still had it split between choosing between heresy and wandering.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. I just don't know about enough about our culture yet
Yeah.
to choose the
Uh,
heresy. So I'm gonna stick with wandering with
okay.
an option to maybe evolve that later.
Yeah. To switch into heretical beliefs. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Uh,
I my special ability is that I can make a clay version of myself and inhabit it like my body, and I can switch back and forth between my own body and it with stress.
Excellent. And the Moray Assembly is your guild. They're the scouts.
Yes. They are inventive and reckless. They are really amazing at finding their way through or to things, even if it seems impossible, and especially if it seems unwise.
These all seem like very good choices from my perspective on these guild combinations there. Uh, Tell me about one or the other or both of your rival and ally?
So I have Rylela's Shadow Mace as my ally because that's like the best dwarf picture I've ever seen. Um,
Mhm.
and Snamrat Emberstone as my rival. And I think for Snamrat, I think they're a rival in the like rune magic sense. I think they work with rune magic as well, and if they're my rival, it means that they do it totally wrong. Um, so I think they work in more ephemeral and flashy uses of runic magic, where I work in like engraving things into metal that will last for 10,000 years. I think they like etch small runes into like reactive compounds and metals and like put like magnesium in water and it explodes, fire and fanciness and smoke and it all burns up and they get some sort of big rush out of it, but nothing really worthwhile that lasts.
Are they shard singers? Are they from that order, or are they not?
I think Snamrad is. I
Okay,
don't
yeah.
think Rylele. I don't think it's ubiquitous across the guild.
Okay. What about Rylela is also a rune mage or something else within the
No,
scouts?
no. I think she I think she's more purely a scout, someone that uh,
Maybe
in
that carries the weight, given that maybe you're not like what we would call a good scout, right?
skilled in any way at scoutly things.
Right. Uh,
Yeah, I think she is a very like friendly, smiling, generally happy person who can go without in any intermediate steps straight to just like knocking someone across the jaw with large metal things that hide in her hair buns. But I don't think it's with malice. Like,
right.
since she never moves through anger, there's no like real hatred. It's just out of necessity and sometimes with regret. She has to employ enough violence to make things stop, and she will, and then she'll go back to smiling and drinking.
And she's an ally to you. So how would you describe your relationship with them?
I think probably like little sister, despite all of my efforts. I think she latched on to Dazan, and especially as he started getting ideas in his head of working with the Moray Assembly that he could actually go out and do the sorts of things that he did. I think she took him on as a project of maybe let's not see this guy go off and die in the wilderness in 5 minutes.
Okay. I like that. Excellent. Uh, you know what? I just realized that I had the tabs wrong. It was Grunheld that was next. On the thing there, Grunheld. Let's have you go.
All righty. Well, I'm Tyler, he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Grunheld Merodim, which she, her pronouns. And she is an elder, is her kind of playbook. And she's she's an older lady dwarf. She's definitely like impressive in the thick muscles, stout. She looks strong, but she's definitely slowed down quite a bit. She's not as agile as she once was. Um, her clan is she's one of the pillars of the community style of clan, the Meridim clan. Um, her apprenticeship, she was a soldier, a shield maiden in her youth, and has always kind of kept up that self-image of herself as a warrior, brave and true. And kind of had chafed as she'd gotten older. Her husband has passed. Her kids don't need her or even particularly want her around as much. And she wanted one last adventure. And that's what's helped spur her into making this trip to find what was lost. And she's very strong in these social aspects. She's a good talker. She is well versed in the traditions and the proper ways of, dwarven society and how things are to be done. Along with her age, she has the ability of, she knows a lot of people she's met over her many, many long years. So often she can pop up an NPC that she has a past relationship with. My guild is the Hearth Guard, which are the guards. They are loyal, but they are slow, kind of they do their thing, and they're not one to be roused to go and do other sorts of things. My ally is Captain pull that up, yep. Captain Dellen.
Okay.
She is certainly younger than me, but in the prime of life, warrior dwarf, who I think that Grunhelm held kind of sees herself in her. There's a little bit of that, almost the daughter I always hoped that I would have, that would go out and fight and be excited. The captain is a brave person and is willing to put it all on the line for her community, sort of person. And Grunheld really appreciates that. And I think there is a little bit of that motherly feel towards her. In contrast, my rival, however, is Merdwin the Cunning. And he is very much the opposite of Grunheld. He is quick of thought. He is quick of decisions. He believes that Grunheld is past her prime and was never that great even when she was in it, that she's kind of a dottery old bag and really should be quietly enjoying a retirement, perhaps shifting on off out of the scene. I think Grunheld would say that he's a bit too clever for his own good.
But he might think that they've given you what you wanted, a trip to this new place. You've been a figurehead in this, and now you can retire while the others do the actual work. I like that. That brings us last but not least to Daggeril. You are muted.
All right, starting out traditional, muted. Okay, my character's name is Dagriel Onyxblood. She, they. She is, let's see here. She is essentially a scholar. And in fact, her guild is the Gold Tome Foundation, who are the scholars. But mind you, she did take on a soldier's apprenticeship. Just because she wanted to be sure that she could hold her own in the how should we say, the different reckonings that take place among the scholars in order to decide who is correct. It helps to have at least the ability to bop someone in the nose if they're getting too pushy. And so she is a very assertive person, because she has to be. That's just how the scholars are. They are tenacious and also perhaps a little reckless. Having knowledge is intoxicating and it's worth the risk, but also it's worth the fun. And there's a sort of, I say, they always are giving 100% in their approach to like trying to figure things out. Books are a big part of it, but they're as much status items as they are anything else. Most of it is actually going out, finding things, writing things down, coming up with schemes, convincing people that you've derived the right solution to a given problem, and going out and proving it if you have to. And that's, I mean, that's a big part of it. You can say, I think it's, these things are infiltrating this way, and I'm going to go down there and stop them. Come with me if you believe me. And so that is kind of how those scholars act.
Okay.
And so let's see here. And my ally is Barter Stormedge, and he has traveled. In fact, he was even on a boat once, and he has the sweater to prove it, apparently. So he has like a big, cream wool knitted, like Irish thick, knitted sweater. And and I find that very impressive. But also he's gone out and done all kinds of interesting things, and we always have a good time when we're together. And then my rival is Vinda Onyx Blood, who is my annoying cousin. The problem is dwarven families, at least the Onyx Blood families, never had lots of kids. And so a child was usually a big celebration, and their childhood years would be like all the family paid attention. But no, Vinda was born 2 years after I was, and it was like I never got the spotlight I deserved. She never got the spotlight she deserved. We were always in each other's business. And to the point where she would follow me all the time when we were younger, and then like she would always be trying to do better than me. And we are in this sort of locked situation where we don't know how to disentangle our senses of ourselves from each other. We do a lot of shaking our fists at each other, I think, is probably a good way to put it, and being dismissive and not listening when we ought to. There you go. So
Excellent. I that gives us a strong sense of who they are. Before we get too much further, I want to mention something that we need to have in our minds as a meta thing as we're playing here, and that is how XP and advancement works in this game. Just so you don't at the end go, oh, I wish I knew that, and I should have been leaning into that. You have an XP trigger based on your playbook. Like Dagriel has get additional XP when you unearth a secret or leverage your supply cache to help someone else. So that's an XP trigger that Dagriel has. The other ways that you get XP, besides that playbook specific XP trigger, is if you expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background, classic Forged. If you took part in a non-expedition scene with another character, if you struggled with issues from your obsession or from weariness. Now that's likely to be something that comes on later on, but those first two are important. And as with Forged in the Dark, mark an XP if you do it, and then if you do it like more than once, you can mark 2 XP, like if you do it several times, if that happens repeatedly. That's the basics for that. But the one thing is unlike Forged in the Dark, you do not get XP for rolling desperate actions. That's the mechanic in regular Forged in the Dark, and you would roll that desperate action, and you'd mark it on that particular track. But they have a replacement, and it's a great replacement. And that is, you get XP when you protect someone, take an action to protect someone, or you lead a group action. And in that case, you mark XP in that track. And that I like. That's a really smart way to encourage and reward those uses of cooperative actions. And there's some notes on that essentially when you protect an ally, when you do that, you get +1 XP, and when you lead a group action, that's +1 XP. And protecting an ally traditionally means you take the stress for them when something goes wrong. You roll the resistance roll. So nice set of mechanics. I really like that. I like any game that has a system for rewarding, helping each other out. Let me talk about then a few things that have added to the settlement sheet here. Kind of went through that, kind of added a few things. I randomly rolled the 3 established settlement, like what the spaces are on the surface. These are the ones that are closest, and essentially it's hills, mountain. So you're in very rough terrain nearby. There are 2 spaces left near the surface that are unexplored that can be explored and added as surface areas. But those are the areas that are closest to your settlement or right above your settlement that if you build, you'll likely build in one of those spots. And then you have one location here at depth 1, and that is essentially your starting base, the cavern that you're in that you have access to, which they call earthy caves, but I like to imagine that it's stone caves with a lot of knocked downs and a lot of rubble. We talked about that last time. The other thing that is worth noting is I did add a couple of details to the factions. One of the things I did was, and they're on that just to the right of the settlement map things. I rolled a purpose thing that they're doing now. I also established their tier. I haven't established whether they're weak or stronghold. I'll figure that out. But right now, the centaurs are probably the most potent force in the area. They're the highest tier, and they are an empire. And because of the magical changes that are going on, they are kind of struggling for resources, and they are in the process of recruiting forces. They are generally trying to add to their forces in numbers. The Ashclaw Sisters, they are tier 2. These are the gnolls. This is one of the groups that's actually friendly to you, and they have a faction clock. They want to build ties with you. That is their purpose, which is why they have a very low clock, because my assumption is that you'll also want to build connections with them. The Autumn Dawn are elves. They are tier 1. And they have a long-term clock, and they're small, but they are trying to work and gather agents against the gnomes. So that's what. The other small tier 1 group, and again, Autumn Dawn, Sardaukar, Sodality, the Tengu, these are ones that are just above you in size, because you're started at tier 0, stronghold. They're at tier 1. The Tengu are trying to control some spirit fonts in the area. What exactly that means, we'll probably find out in play, but that's what they are working on. And then Carvin's Grip, the gnomes are tier 3. They are hostile, and they are working to seize goods from the Ashclaw Sisters, the gnolls. So that is who is around and about in the area. So let us take a bit to let you kind of call a scene before we get into the sort of the structured play of the year planning, expedition phase, and all of that, to get a sense of where you are. And we'll start back with Tolan. When we come to you, we had the scene last time of the arrival here. at Carrick Minor, the seeing of some of the fabulous things left over, but also all of the damage and collapse. What do we think we see you doing now?
Looking for the old forge.
Okay. Searching around and about. Like, are you leading your laborers in this, or have you set them to another task and you're looking around?
I think they're busy clearing out some of the debris, and like from areas that we've already kind of identified. Like, oh, I think this is, but it's covered by a pile of rocks.
Okay.
So I think I've like gone on ahead while they're doing that to like scout out the next area and the next area, and while I'm doing this, I'm specifically looking for a forge. But you know, I find other things on the way, I kind of make a note of it.
Yeah, I think you will find it, since this is kind of the entry hall and things, you'll find collapsed pieces and things that could be repurposed, good cut stone, and things that you could set up as a forge. But any like good, strong dwarven forge is either going to need to be constructed by you or is deeper in. What is the like odd detail of the stones that you find that you can use to make kind of a makeshift temporary forge?
A lot of them have a little carved symbol, and it's like the symbol of the guild that, like the old builders guild that made them. Um, but it's kind of a like, why would they choose this symbol? This is a really weird symbol for stone cutters to use, because it's like an eye with a dagger through it or something.
Yeah, and it's not one you recognize. And you find that scattered amongst the stone here, this dagger eye symbol, and you kind of, now mind you, your family wasn't big into heraldry and markings and
Right.
things like that, but you think you know enough that you're a little like, this is not a symbol that I've seen before. Grunheld, what about you? Where do we see you? Are you setting up your offices? Are you directing people? Are you getting security in place? What do we see of you?
I think what we see is with the Hearth Guard, we're kind of checking the perimeter of this first area. We're getting in place like the front gate, how we're going to have that manned. We're doing that initial bit to secure this area so that we know that we can rest here securely.
And would you say like the troop that you have with you, is it like a group of people in uniform, arms and armor, or is it more of a grab bag of people that you brought from the other settlement? Like, what's the appearance here of these Hearthguard that you have?
I think the armor may not be like uniform, but I think that there is a sense of a core. So I think there is an insignia that we've all taken on to come to this place, to show our loyalty to the new home.
Is it the old insignia of this place, or is it a modification of that, or is it something entirely new?
I think it's a modification.
Okay.
I think it's got like the background of that old insignia, but we see something new that shows that we are the new people to come here.
Okay. I like that. And Dazin, I got it right. Tell me what we see you doing.
So in the book under the clan legacies, for the Forge Masters, it talked about like a great wonder that they had built. So I've been sort of thinking on that, and I think uh, what it is this giant like 20-30 foot tall uh, crystal with uh, like runes, metal runes sunk into the depths of it. That was something that we had at the old settlement. There's one there,
Uh-huh.
and in getting ready to like come found this one, we made a new one to bring with us. I think sort of worked with the keepers, but I think it's crystal that was like this thing was kept in the public areas where people were living and talking, and it was kept in places like where the keepers had knowledge, where people were reading books, and it takes the sound and the voices of the whole sort of living dwarven settlement, and they stay in there, they echo through the crystal. It's not like something where you can go pull up like a TED talk that
Right.
someone gave in front of it, but it's more like it's constantly this murmuring susurration, and you could like
He bought
listen
a
and sort of,
big crystal white noise generator
yeah.
to help the dwarves sleep. Okay, I like
But
that.
it's, it's infused with like the stories of the old settlement and the voices of our people and the sounds of home. And if you meditate and study in front of it, maybe you could like piece together your own oracular things to pull out of it. But it is in essence just a nonsense of words and noises.
What is the weirdness that it has developed, either on the trip or in the days and such that you've had it set up here? Like, what is a weird tick that it has picked up?
I think the shard singers and Dozen especially will swear that it is totally random. What it plays back are just mixes and echoes, and it doesn't have any inherent meaning to it. But more and more over the trip, and now that we have it set up in the like central area that we're setting up in our first cavern here, um, people keep swearing that they hear it just like clearly called their name.
Ooh.
And it shouldn't do that. That should just be a random thing that happened like once every 1,000 people that go by it. But we keep getting people like it is clearly whispering their name and trying to draw attention.
I'm sure nothing bad will come of that. I like that. Thank you, Patrick, for that golden
I mean,
opportunity that you handed me.
let me be clear. That's totally false. That is
Oh,
not how it works, and not what it does.
oh yeah, no,
It's
no,
just
that's a
people
false narrative, right?
ascribing meaning to the randomness of the universe.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Daggeril.
Yeah. Talking about assigning meaning to the randomness of the universe. I have a first question. I don't have a sense of how big these guilds are. Are we talking like 20 people, 60 people?
Let's
How many
see.
people came all together?
What do we think? What's a good number? Do you think we're talking a couple hundred dwarves?
I don't know. I think they have a thing for how much each tier roughly has.
Yeah, let's see if we can.
I mean, if it's
'Cause
just
it's not
18 of us, that's
many.
fine, but it's a big diff between.
Let's see if I can figure
So,
out.
a tier 1 settling, a mountain home might have 100 dwarves.
Okay. So let's say right now that like you have about 100 because your tier 0, because your position is just getting set up.
We're
You have
still
the
in
populace,
suitcases, yeah.
but they're not, a applied to tasks, things are in disorder, that kind of thing. You have stronghold, tier 0, it's about 100 people. So if we imagine that there are the 4 guilds that you represent, and then let's say that there are another 4 other, like our NPC founders that kind of sit in council and nod and harumph, that may get actors to play them later on, but for the moment are that. So probably you've got between 10 and 15 people maybe in your guild.
Okay.
That is a back of the mallet estimate.
Okay. Good. I'll say I have probably a smaller number than the other guilds have.
Okay.
So 10. Okay, I just wanted to get a sense of like how many people we had, what our
Sure.
assets were, that kind of thing. Okay, that's exciting. And I think the thing that we're doing is going, okay, what do you want to look into? What do you want to look into? And it's the whole thing of talking about like going through all the things that we need to to figure out more stuff about. So there's a lot of things of getting the lay of the land outside, like what's just close by that can be used, and figuring out what's there. Of course, there's like everyone wants to go down further, but they also know that if they say they want to go down, it'll be like all daggers will turn to them and they will be the first one eliminated from that opportunity. You can already see people getting the straws already for drawing straws on stuff. It's very, very, we try not to kill each other because we're all wildly jealous of whatever it is that everyone's doing, because it's all excellent.
Mhm.
And sometimes, yeah. So I think that we probably have decided to go like 4 people, like 2 4-people teams, and a couple of what we call auditors, which are just people who are going around and picking up next research things to do and ideas and trying to prioritize. So does that make sense for
Yeah.
that group? And that we're going to move, because we don't know anything about this area, in a little bit larger groups than we would otherwise, just so if we have to, we can defend ourselves.
And what are you looking for?
We are looking for, what do you say? I think the people that are staying here are looking for practical information on how to make a go of it in these first days here. Like, what are the resources that we have? What is this place made for, so that we can make the best use of it? Like, it's clearly a welcoming hall, but what features were built into it by the other dwarves, or is it just all locked away, and those sorts of things? Like, is this just a place where in the next room over, they can throw the bolts and no one can go any further into the hold? Or is it, and this is just like a quarantine area? Or is this in fact like it used to house, like in the face of the thing to people, and what were the amenities? So it's figuring out those kinds of things about how it was used. A little bit of like maybe archaeology.
I think that part of what your group does is like figure out the boundaries of this first set of caves, and to determine that, okay, we've probably got room for 2. We could build here, we can set up spaces here. Here is the space that we have to work from in this area. What is the sign that tells you that there have been others in these chambers, not other dwarves, and not like any of the peoples that you saw from the factions outside? You don't see Knoll footprints or gnomish things or centaur hooves or anything like that. What do you find?
I think what we find is the remains of campsites. Not like they've actually set up and like lived here, but like that they've traveled through or sheltered here, maybe. But like over a long period of time, quite a bit. Like it's on someone's route. And they eat a lot of meat. Like it's like wild goat and
Okay.
and sort of things like that. So it's like we find like literally the skulls, which the dwarves is kind of, you have butchers that take care of all that stuff, and it's a little bit, we have people who do that thing, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so to have it like kind of right by like where you ate, like they clearly roasted it and like threw the stuff off to the side. sort of like
they were messy eaters.
Messy eaters, maybe in the moment, not at their highest, level of civility and whatever.
Yeah.
So
it does look, when you look through that whoever they were have not been here for a very long time.
okay.
They came through after the fall, but have not been here in at least a century.
And we had to use like keys to
Yeah.
get in, right? So this means that they had either keys of their own or they found another way in. So that's interesting. So, and again, it looks very much like rough camping.
Yeah.
So
let's take our first break here. We'll take 10. When we come back, we're kind of do the New Year phase, which is the group kind of getting together and talking. I'll present some potential hooks and things like that. And we'll kind of talk about where we want to go expedition wise, and we'll talk about that structure. So let's take 10 for this first bit, and then we'll continue on. So the structure of the play phases, the year begins with a New Year kind of gathering of the founders to talk about what's on the table, what things are coming up, to ask questions. We kind of get those scenes in that talk. And that may help us shape like what we want to do as an expedition. An expedition is kind of and I think this is actually Tyler talked to me about this and gave me is kind of a zoom in. Like you guys may be doing things together or in pairs things, but this is a zoom in where we see the four of you doing something important. And it may be like a zoom in from Legacy, in that we may go get the engagement roll, do a few things, get to the high point, and it's not going to be necessarily a big long thing. Depending on how it goes or what we find there. And then we come back for the settlement phase, which is our downtime phase, and allows you to do projects, to build things, to expand, all that thing. We have the end of the year actions then as well, which is also, all of this is space for RP and interactions and doing scenes and developing stuff. So tell me, Ethan, what is the space that the Council of the Eight, the eight founders, the eight guild folk, what is that like where you meet?
It's actually, it looks like it might have been a training area for guards to practice.
Okay.
But it's a nice clear area. So it just seemed like a good place to meet. It was the most convenient.
Okay. Grunheld, are you the oldest of the founders that are here?
Yeah, I think I am the
Okay.
oldest of the founders.
Yeah, and are there any that are particularly? I mean, are there ones that are kind of close to your age, or is there a significant gap between like you and the rest of the founders?
I think there might be one that is in my generation, but this is kind of a young person's game in general. So I think it's most of the founders are middle aged to young, right in that prime sort of range.
Mm-hmm. And Dozen, gonna get it wrong every time. Are you comfortable, uncomfortable? Like what is your reaction to being in charge here?
I think probably the bureaucracy and care of the initial setup is sort of chafing on him. This isn't some wild untamed area. There's so much half-formed civilization that we need to catalog and get out there and do. Why are we wasting time sitting around and having endless meetings?
And for Dagriel, like what for you is important about the ritual of this meeting? If even if the meeting itself isn't that important to you, what is there some facet of it that is, or is the meeting like the space? Like what is that for you?
I think the split is like the scholars have gone, half of us will be looking further on, like to understand the hold, and the other half of us will be looking out. And we had a big long debate about this, that the dwarves that were here before, they disappeared. No one knew what happened to them. And that means we don't want to get ourselves into that situation. We want to have ties to the outside. The scholars do. We decided that.
Mm-hmm.
And so to some extent, this is the thing of what are we going to counterbalance? Are we going to need to counterbalance something, or are we going to need, essentially we're split down half and half of which one's going to go do things, but whatever this group decides, we're okay, we as the scholars have to go, but we need to do this as well. Does that make any sense?
So
we're ready to be the contrarian. I have my
you're ready
notes
to be
already.
the devil's
no matter,
advocate.
No
Okay.
matter what they come up with, I'm ready to go. So if that makes any sense.
Lowell, can I add something to the question you asked me?
Yeah, please.
I think Trillian is the one in my generation.
Okay.
That is the other founder. He's the one from our kind of rival civilization that has come to join and maybe make a difference here.
I think that's perfect. That's a really good tie in there. So some things are on the table that the founders are talking about, and I think I'm going to put what sort of that is in the air for the NPCs. These are threads, possibly. There'll be some talk about one of the areas that your caravan passed through shortly before you got here, and that a couple of the scouts reported seeing that it clearly was an unoccupied area by any of the other peoples, but they saw some ruins there, and they thought that they might have dwarvish marks to them. They're not within necessarily settlement range, but they're reasonably close by. Might be worth investigating. There's also people talking about which of these factions do we want to have diplomacy with? Is it worth putting our necks out there for these gnolls? Should we try and make ties with the centaurs, given their power. That's another thing that's mentioned. The question of who left behind this detritus in the place. How did they get inside? Could we figure out like what the method was for that? And the other thing that is a question someone says is, we've heard that there are 6 factions in the area, but we've only seen 5 of them, and we don't know who the 6th is. We can kind of guess from what we know of the mapping where they are at, but we haven't met them. We didn't meet them on our travels, and we don't know who they are. So that's kind of the things that are out there. But other people may have some things that they have that they would want to put on at the table. Tolan, what do you think? I'm going to kind of do the once around to check in on that before we like delve in.
I think I do want to know, like, who all of the people are around us. So I'm interested in finding out, like, what this other group is.
Okay. Grunheld?
I think that there are 2 things that are kind of important. I think we should shore up friendship with the Knolls, and perhaps that would also illuminate us to this missing faction and provide us with an ally. And it's also important that we begin discovering what is around here. We will need food, and the chance to find food, something where we can produce food, those will be limited.
Yeah, I think food production definitely falls into the sort of category of settlement actions. But yeah, I think that when we get to that, I think that makes sense. Dazin?
I agree that we need to know where we sit and what's around us. There's a whole civilization's worth of infrastructure and things that have already been done for us to find. We need to inventory and find that sort of stuff before all of these other factions that we've heard about wanting to move back into the mountain and the tunnels get their hands on them first.
And Dagriel?
I think she stops and she's like, I'm glad that we are being so outward looking to begin this advent. I think that securing our first alliance and proving that we are a good ally is not the worst step to make. I like the idea that perhaps the Knolls might know who these other faction is, or would be interested in knowing who they are as well. So it might be our first joint action as allies together. It's a political opportunity. And I think that we do have to be ready because we have 2 very powerful tiers. One of them is horrible, the gnomes, and the other one is neutral and very big, and those are the centaurs. So we need to, how should we say, bolster our defenses against the gnomes, and how should we say, at least look like we can be good allies to the centaurs.
So let's move kind of meta. What would you like to do for an expedition? Do you want to do, it sounds like diplomacy is kind of in the cards, at least for this first one.
Mhm.
Do we think you want to invite the centaurs here or go to where the centaurs are? Do you want to go in and visit with the gnolls? Like, what do you think? I think those seem to be the sort of the two directions that you're taking. What's it?
And I suppose, depending on how much resources we use, we could do multiple expeditions in a year. We just don't refresh anything when we do.
Correct. Yeah.
Sherry, I sounds like you and I are in agreement shoring up the gnolls. Seems like a good idea.
They are. Yeah. And I think she kind of was surprised when you, if there's any sort of agreement with her, she was ready for a fight. So there you go. Yeah, I think that could be pretty useful. If you look at the tier list, just out and out, it just makes sense.
And
Absolutely.
Discovering this unknown faction, certainly there's a chance that those that already are here would know of them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And if they don't, that they would be interested in knowing who it was as well. So the more the merrier on that trip to figure out who it is.
So let's kind of cut to that expedition.
Okay.
You heading out of the bounds, trying to find your way. It's not a taxing journey, but it is kind of within your region. So, but to find your way to where the gnolls are and see what can be seen there. This is done, kind of on fire, and this is like standard Forge in the Dark. If you want to say that you have guild people with you and call on them as a resource, that's and put them at risk. That's where they are in flux until that happens. Okay. But we do this with a journey roll, and the book isn't clear whether everybody makes the journey roll. So I'm assuming it's one person is going to make the journey roll. Who has a decent journey score? We will vary this from time to time, but who wants to roll for journey for this first travel? That is a prowess.
I have a 1.
I have
one. Yeah.
Good. Then because you're my wife.
No, I have 0. Sorry.
Oh, then I because you're my wife, I will
0.
not make you roll. I will put Ethan in the hot seat for this one. So Ethan, go ahead and make a journey roll for me.
So go through the way that you can get more dice roll.
Let's talk about that. So bonus dice. So someone can help. When they help, they take 1 stress and give an extra die. You can push yourself for 2 stress to get an extra die, or you can ask for Devil's Bargain. And this does remind me, this is Forge in the Dark. By default, when we go to do a roll, it is risky with standard effect. That like if I don't say anything else and we go to the roll, that's always what it's going to be, unless we kind of negotiate and I say something or you suggest that it's different or we do something to change that up. But just to make it quick, that's always going to be our fallback here. So Ethan, would you like to do something to get a die? Sherry.
I would like to assist because I'm the other person who has journey. So
okay. Mark
I
a point
will-
of stress.
I will do that.
I'll also point out, just since it's an XP trigger, if we do it as a group action, then whoever was leading would
Oh,
get an
yeah.
XP.
Should we do that as or is it one person? I don't.
Yeah, you could do it.
want
So,
that
Ethan,
Makes sense.
you would lead it,
Okay.
and then each of you would roll your journey roll, and we would take the highest of those results. And for each person that misses, you would take a point of stress,
Okay.
but you get XP.
Cool.
You want to do that?
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay,
This makes sense as a teamwork role.
absolutely.
Ooh, how many people are rolling and with disadvantage with one die or whatever?
Both Dazen and Grunheld are rolling 2 dice and taking the lowest.
Nice.
Okay.
What might a devil's bargain on getting a die there look like?
I think the devil's bargain is going to be that this is not your element, and you are going to look like you have been through the war, as we say, when you go to do this role, muddied, clothes torn, that kind of thing. So when you arrive for your diplomatic mission, you will look soiled. Do you wish to take that?
I think Dawson would take that.
Okay.
Not sure if Tyler would, but
Right.
I think I will.
No, but I will push myself so I can get 1 die and not have to take the lower.
Okay. All right. So mark 2 stress. And then
And
everybody
on a group
rolls.
roll, can I help? What happens
I think you
with
can
that?
still help
And then we
on a
both
group
take
action. So,
all the.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know.
Did
you
not
mark
know
a point of stress, Sherry.
Okay.
Tolan, you roll with 2 dice. Everybody else rolls with 1 die.
Well, I just rolled with 1, so I'll just roll with another. Oh, cool. Okay. Got a 4 and a 5.
Okay. And Tyler, you rolled a 5.
No, I hit the wrong button. I rolled 2 dice. I'm
Oh,
setting
okay.
up. I
just-
actually just clicked where I went in.
Yeah, just roll a d6 then.
Yeah. I got a 2.
Okay, so Tolan, you will mark that XP, but you also mark a point of stress
Okay.
I also got a 2.
and another point of stress. But it's
Oh, that's Tyler's. My roll was a 5. Okay, good.
yeah, you are so the highest roll is a 5.
Yeah.
Is it that this trip takes longer than you would like, of trying to find your way around here, or is it that the environment is kind of inclement and taxing? What do you think, Tolan?
I think it takes long. I think we just don't know the way around. So I think it's a combination, like, because we don't know that you could go this way and avoid having to climb down this canyon wall, but we didn't know that. So here we are skidding down the
and this is
bank
completely this is completely new territory for you. The gnolls kind of gave you directions, but they weren't particularly specific about things, and I think you discover several varieties of brambles that you don't have back home, and you discover exactly what kind of thorns and thistles these things have.
Excellent. Some good design ideas for pain
There's the
and
kind
torture.
that stick in your skin and won't, are barbed and won't come out. And there's
You have to cut them out. Yeah.
Dawson personally wanders through at least half of those.
Yeah, there's at least one slide down and roll down a hill to a patch there. You also find out
None
what
of them
kind of
have edible
wasps
fruit. That's the
are
annoying
here.
part.
So yeah. So I think it is that you get to Mark, and you can tell that the gnolls do try to conceal the path. Like they're small enough that they don't want to expose themselves. But there will be a couple of gnollish patrol folk that will pop up and will greet you, and they'll say, "We heard that there were dwarves. Are you the dwarves that came?"
Yes.
Oh.
We were coming to see you, actually.
Oh, okay. Tolan, would you roll me 2d6 for your engagement roll? And these gnomes say, these gnolls say, this is not a great time. There is hot on our heels. An enormous beast. We did not know you were on this trail. Now, it is coming. We are very, very sorry for this. This was not our intent. And they're kind of still talking and apologizing, even as you're hearing the kind of crunch of something coming this way.
Excellent. This group is totally the wrong group to go up against any kind of beast. And I'll go, if you're still retreating, we'll follow you.
Okay. Grunheld, what do you want to do?
And they seem to be retreating from this thing. They weren't planning to fight it.
No, they seem to have been running along and ran into you.
It is probably wise to follow your lead.
Yes. We'll head this way, and they'll if you say, let's take off, you follow behind them. Dazin. Do you also follow, or do you want to know what this thing is?
I think I'll follow if they're all
Okay.
running off from it.
Dagriel,
Just looking to see if I had anything particularly good to use in the situation.
Dagriel, do you wish to also fall back?
Oh, absolutely. My
Okay.
thing is I would just want to get out of the bramble patch before we engage. So that's the big one. And then,
Okay.
yes.
So what do you think? Let's go around to kind of get yourselves out of this situation, get yourself into a good position. I want to check in. So this gives us a chance to look at those abilities and see what you would do. So Tolan, what do you use to kind of follow along or hide your trail or get in a good position? What ability, what do they call them in this game? Is it skills? Is it abilities? Is it actions? Actions. What action do you wish to use?
I think I go last and try to cover up our trail, and I would probably use scout for that. I think. Unless,
Okay.
That's the only one that makes sense. I think.
Let's have you make that roll for me then.
Sure thing.
Are you going to push yourself?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I've only got one die in that. Actually, I don't have more than one in anything, but.
Oh, you have 2 in infuse.
Oh, that's true. Oops. Okay, so that was one die. I need to roll another one.
Okay.
That's a 4. Okay.
So that is a mixed success. We'll come back. You are kind of covering over the trail. I think that this thing is slowed, but is kind of still sniffing along. And I think you will see this enormous flat snout kind of they're quite large, sort of like maybe like a little bit like a duck's bill, and but then you realize it's kind of this large flattish thing with this head that kind of comes forward. It's maybe 8 feet long and 4 or 5 feet at the shoulder. It doesn't look like a huge one, but it looks like a smallish, what is known as a bullet or a boulette, depending on how you say it. This creature, and it's snorkeling along on the ground there, trying to follow the path. Grunheld, how are you moving yourself and getting out of here and getting to a better position?
As I've mentioned before, speed is not my friend any longer. So I probably have drifted back towards the back, and I'm kind of thinking rear guard and watching out so that Tullen's work, that there's someone in support of Tullen should it catch up, and or Tolan, sorry. And being capable of fighting if I have to.
So that feels like you're using your experience as a skirmisher to kind of help here. Do you want to push yourself?
Eek. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll roll 2 dice.
Roll 2 dice.
Come on, roll well. I got a 6.
Yeah. So you are absolutely like able to move, and kind of as Tolan is maybe frozen for a minute looking at this beast, grab onto him and yank him a little more forward up the path. Does that seem fair? Ethan? Okay. Dawson, what are you rolling here? What's your process? What action are you leaning on to help avoid this problem?
And how close is this thing?
It's got a little bit distance now. It because Tolan has kind of obscured the path.
Gotcha. So I have no easily applicable skills to this situation. So getting creative, I was looking into what my pre-made rune stones can do.
Okay.
And out of the common runestone stuff that I could learn at the beginning, there's one of them, a hollow shout rune, amidst a shout or phrase previously whispered into the stone. So I think like as we're running by a fork, I want to whisper into it something like, "Hurry down this way, looks safe," and like roll the stone, the rune stone down a split in the passage as we're going the other way, to sort of like draw it off that way with sound.
So that feels like you're drawing on your infuse to do this?
I think stone speak for rune things.
Pebbles, contributed downtime clock, scrolling for a limit. Yeah, I got that too. That seems fair. So mark a supply.
Yeah, I have my, let's see, pre-chiseled runestone.
Yep.
There we go.
And go ahead and roll 2 dice for this.
Okay. Yes. Another one of you. Oh, geez. They're both ones.
They are both ones. So I think there is that moment when you kind of turn and stop, and you draw out the stones, and you realize that like you are moving hastily and you don't know where the others are. And that's when your feet give out under you and you start going down this hillside. And you're going to take Yeah. So let's look at how wounds work. I think this is you are going to be injured unless you would like to resist that.
I do want to resist that.
Okay.
With prowess, maybe I have a
Yeah,
point to
proud.
dig, so I think like rock slides and sort of the results of unexpected tumbles is something that he's dealt with before.
Okay. So roll me a d6.
Less of those. Do that. It's a 4.
That's a 4. So just mark 2 stress.
Yeah, so he manages to get his like feet pointed down and starts digging his heels in to take some of the speed and the pressure there.
Absolutely. And
2 stress. All right.
yeah, that's not bad. Dockril, what are you doing?
Well, since Dawson decided to make himself the most interesting bait for the bullet, it gives me an opportunity to lay a trap very quickly. I have my quartermaster ability, which is I can borrow Aegis to essentially I can flashback to borrow aid in the form of an item during an expedition. It costs me no stress to do this.
Okay.
And I think that essentially what it is we have like these mechano traps that we have.
Okay.
And essentially I'm going to set up like a what do you say? What's the one like a steel cable snare, that catches
Okay.
it and sort of pull it back up on. So I like pick the biggest, heaviest duty tree that's here, or even a cliff edge if there's one, but that's like to where it's going to get pulled up to. And I essentially throw this thing down on the ground and send the lead line for it up to whatever I have that's the strongest thing for it to get pulled onto, since I know the thing. And then I'll run towards Dawson again as more bait.
What do you think is the action that you're using for this?
That would be scout. It
Okay.
in fact says that it's for spotting clues, getting to drop on one's prey, ambushing foes from a distance, all the hunting, all those things.
So this is risky, great effect.
Okay. Yikes, here goes. But I get a +1 result level.
That's what I'm saying. Great effect.
Yes.
Do you want to push yourself to get that extra die?
That seems sensible. So it's 2 stress to do that.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm rolling 2d6. This can only go well. Oh, I got a 4.
There's a 4. So I think that this is a dwarven made trap, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So this is heavy duty. And this bullet is not huge. And you've got enough room by Tolan having kind of set up the path there that it roars onto it, and there's that twang, and it's kind of lifted up like in the air. And I think you can immediately judge that, there was a possibility that you could like actually fully capture it, but I think that the success is enough for all of you to get away, but not kill, not be able to like take this thing out. Does that seem fair?
Yep, that seems fair.
Okay.
I have saved Dawson and made sure that our Knoll friends don't die because of us.
And I think we cut from there to the Knollish caves. I think the thing that will strike you once you get in here is the caves look very rough-hewn and barbaric on the outside, but once you get inside, they have some basic metalworking and things, but woodworking where they've got sort of wooden buildings in here that have been carved and crafted. There are no straight lines on anything. Everything's like carven with the lines of the wood and the grain. Everything is done that way. It makes for uneven boards in places, but they've that's clearly like the feel of the wood is more important to them than anything else. And they will be very apologetic for their scouts having led you all into potential danger, and they are apologizing profusely. And you would guess there's probably maybe about 80, 90 gnolls in here, and the settlement clearly goes back into the hills here a ways, and they'll sit you down for food. Again, beautifully done wooden utensils and bowls and things like that. I'm picturing a little bit of that kind of where they put the flatbreads out, and then there's all kinds of foods and bowls for you to dip and eat in and such. Tolan, what's your take on the gnolls and the food? What's here that you're like, oh, okay.
They actually do use some of those briars we ran into.
Okay.
You can see that like the seed pods that keep sticking to us, they actually boil them up and like, mix them with other things, and it's good.
Yeah, it's a strong flavor. It's a spice. If you leave it dry, it gets stronger over the seasons. It has a tingle when you put it on the tongue. We enjoy that very, very much. It is a delight. We like eating food that is delightful. And Dawson, how do you react when the gnolls are kind of coming over to you and kind of pawing at you oddly, and then you realize they're trying to clean you up?
Doesn't when he realizes that, he sort of looks down as if he's like hasn't at all taken in the state of himself before now. Say, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like a long day at the forge. You just sort of forget after a while. Do you have perhaps a small towel or something I could use?
You should let us use our tools to remove those. You do not wish to towel yourself off now. You will merely drive those in.
Oh,
Yes, yes. There's quite a bit of it. If you would let us, we'll need to. Some of it is in your beard. You're going to want to get that out.
Well, if you say you have specialized tools for this.
Oh yeah, they will bring out like wooden tweezers and things like that they will begin to use. Some brushes to brush against the grain to get these things off of you. It's very intrusive. And while the gnolls are very pleasant, they have their own sort of canine odor to them that is very pungent when you get close to them.
Oh, that is wow. Ooh, that's pinches, doesn't it? And is the
Sorry.
licking strictly necessary?
That's just a salve.
We actually, I think I have some salves that are made of salve.
No. Don't. This is how we apply things. You've managed to find some plants we haven't seen before. It's quite a tumble you must have taken.
Oh, really? Is it the turquoise ones? Is that what you're talking?
Yes. Let's hope they're not poisonous.
Did you know they made sort of a small shrieking sound when I fell through the bush?
Oh. That may have been an auditory hallucination. We'll just put it down to that, and they'll continue their work. And Dagriel, what here, like immediately of the Knowlish area catches your eye?
I think The other thing is they have all of that naturally carved wood and the line of it and stuff, but they also have an astounding array of different colors of fabric. Like their dye work is top notch, and they have all of the brilliant colors. And I think I'm very curious about that.
They will say our people used to span quite a range around here, but between the Skyfall and attacks from other people over the last decades, people taking our knowledge, we are just a remnant of our people here. We've kept as much knowledge of the dye work and the plants and things. Some we cannot get. We're no longer near the ocean, so we can no longer get the blue hues that we once were able to. But
and then it just says who is there now.
I could not say. It was a war when the sky fell and when the portals opened in the east. It drove people in all kinds of directions.
I think, and take a map out and go, well, we know, and it'll show like where all the factions are that we've seen, sort of basically over here. Do you know who is over in this area? And I'll ask about that last faction.
Say, we have been. Actually, let's have you do this.
Yeah.
What do you think is let's have you make a convince roll.
Convince, okay, sure. I will roll.
And then I'm going to come to Grunheld for sort of the big sort of diplomacy moment here, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just okay. So I'm rolling 1d6.
I
got it.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, no, you can. If you want to help, go ahead and help.
Marcus,
did you get a 6?
Mark a stress and roll a die, Tyler.
All right. Now, why did that go away? Okay, there we go. I got a 4.
Say, they have avoided us. They're very good at staying away. They have placed markers. There are metal and crystal poles that they put up at different spots, and they kind of show you what the kind of the outline of that group's space is. But we don't know who they are, and they have not intruded into our area, and we have not had the power, the numbers to go and explore there. But this is what we know of their reach. Grunheld, clearly the leader, the elder matron of the sisters, will sit down with you and will say, you dwarves show great wit to have women of such a certain age in charge.
In the end, it is knowledge that makes a settlement grow, and none are more knowledgeable than we older women, right?
True. You know the truth of these worlds.
You've given us wonderful food. Perhaps I can extend a little pleasantry from my own home. And I'll reach into up underneath my cloak and all and bring out my pouch and pipe.
Oh, very nice. We've had pipe weed in at least a couple of years. The last trade route person that came through, they'd already traded most of it away by the time we got the last little leafy dregs.
Well, oops, hang on. I was clicking mine, but there. I want the one. Oh well. Well, one can't really travel far without a bit of a smoke. Please, and I'll light up and pass the pipe over to her.
Why don't you make a host roll with great effect?
A host roll with great effect. All right. So I have 3 in host. I don't think I'm going to push myself. If anybody feels like helping, feel free.
If anyone would like to help.
Do I have to have host? Or
No.
can I just help? I'll give you a stress, sure.
Thank you. Let's roll it up. I got a 4, but thank goodness, because that's a buttload of 3s.
So I think that that it becomes clear that the Knoll is very interested in closer relations, and you think that you could seal the deal here, like strong things, if you could provide them with another supply worth of that tobacco. If you're willing to mark another supply.
I am willing to do that. As I say, perhaps if I could, and I'll take out my pouch and leave the whole pouch, a little something to help you along while I'm absent.
And they are very pleased to see all of you. They will talk. They'll show you some of the maps they have around the area, some pathways that perhaps you weren't aware of, some dangerous spots to stay away from, and they'll provide you with a fairly comprehensive a guide to getting around in the area, meaning that like within the region you're not going to be at a disadvantage to journeying, because this is fairly close to your steading, but if you go a little further out it might have been more questionable, but now you have the information from them, and they are clearly interested in trade and working something out, and joining their destiny to yours in some ways. They will, and I will, in fact, actually, I think it's worth hitting that and raising their disposition towards you up 1.
Hey.
That they are friendly, and they will send a group of scouts to show you the quickest and easiest route back to your cave doors the next day. It's much faster and much less prickly. And let's take our second break. Take 5, and then we'll look at the next the settlement phase and the end of the year here. So what you've missed is some discussion about the whole claim phase thing, which I'm sure some of you were listening to this just to get how this works. But right now we're doing our downtime actions and claims, and we've had some meta discussion of that. Dawson just took his guild, got them along to help give him an extra die, scouted and found in the adjacent area a open common, which is Stony Caverns.
So I think since we're still just at depth 1, sort of near the surface, there was this whole passage where a bunch of like ancient tree roots had burst through down into the caves down here and had been here so long that the like dripping sediment had solidified around the tree roots, giving them a like
Ooh,
stone sheathing and making the whole thing really hard to find a way through.
very nice. Very nice. So who would like to go next for one of their downtime actions?
So Tyler, you're gonna work on this settlement thing? Does it require?
Is that a dedicated action? Is that what that requires?
That would be a downtime, one of your 2 downtime
Yeah.
actions.
Okay. Then yes. Did we decide what? I mean, can we build multiple buildings if people all were working on different ones?
Absolutely. But
Mhm.
one has to be finished before the next one can be started.
Right.
And they're clocks, just the
They are
same as
clocks. Yeah.
And yep.
You can call in your guild to assist, to give you an extra die. And for a building there, would be 3 ticks on the clock for like a level 1 building. Or yeah, wait, hang on. Let me get back to this.
And it's dig, right?
It's whatever you want to use that you think is
Oh.
appropriate for the building, I believe. But let me get back to that. I will say I'm glad I just discovered that there's an index off the side here. Just don't, okay. Treasure, reputation, settlement, man, claim buildings. Okay. So buildings require completion of a clock that is 3 segments plus the level of the building being created.
So a 4.
So 4. So most of the time it's going to require either 2 people to do it or 1 person rolling well and spending treasure.
Okay. Well, then I'll start the settlement quarter. I think that's an early investment that makes sense, and it's somewhere we can live.
All right. And what is it that you are using to organize and construct this building?
Well,
This is Forged in the Dark. Do not be afraid to lean into the skills that you've gotten. That's what they are about.
then I'll just be awful on it, and I think I'm going to go and try and set us up in the traditional fashion with setting up. There's a kind of communal oriented idea of that there is a cooking area. We can all spread out from that. We have a kind of like stony apartment building is the feel I get, but sort of that area. So I think we're going with host.
Okay, so you're gonna be rolling 3 dice. Are you going to spend your last supply to call your guild in to give you an extra die?
I will get that back at the end of year, right?
Yes,
Supply
you will.
comes back. So yes, yeah, I think so.
All right.
They give me an extra die.
So you roll 4d6.
Okay. I have that set. Let's see how we roll. 2 6s, baby.
So that is a critical. So done in 1. So you may mark that in there as you have completed that.
I'll have a big feast for us when it's all done.
So we still have Tolan and Dagril. Who wants to go of you 2?
I can,
Okay.
but you can too. So if you have something,
What do you think you want to do, Tolan?
I was thinking since that was so successful, maybe create a farm on the surface.
Absolutely.
That's only 1 volunteer, so
Yeah. So what is it that you are was appropriate action that you're using to do this?
I think let's see. Let me look at this. I think this is actually craft.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
And I'm definitely going to get the laborers to help.
Okay, so that will give you an extra die. Do you want to push yourself for another one?
Oh yeah, I still have an action and I can indulge my vice. So
Yeah.
that actually means that I can do that safely. So yes,
Yeah.
I'll do that. All right. All threes.
All threes. That was not a great roll. So that will give you one tick on a 4-section clock.
Okay.
Optionally, you could spend a treasure to get 2 ticks, but I don't know if that's really worth the spend there.
Nah, I don't think so. We don't have a ton of treasure yet.
Right.
So
Azumel.
Sorry, I haven't put my character's name in. So I deserve that. Okay. So I'm thinking I will have the scholars follow up on working on or getting the farm done, because
Okay.
this opens up like a whole set of opportunities, and we saw a bunch of stuff that the gnolls did. So what we're trying to do is go, if we can create something that'll be useful to them for trade objects, that means we can get dyes and other things like that, and add those to essentially our assets to have. So I will work on that clock.
So what do you want to roll that with?
Well, of course, we're going to do this by the book, and we've gotten all of our books out.
Okay.
And we've gone, okay, so we have to design this in order to rotate crops, and we have a whole bunch of things, and you see us out there like putting out a grid pattern and doing all these things, but it is all like from the book. So I'm going to use, I think study is fine.
Yeah.
We've studied it up. We've brought out all the notes. We've, told us what kind of farm it's going to be. And we are coming in and we're just going to work on that. So I rolled 2 days.
Well, let's stop here.
Okay.
Do you want to spend one of your supply to get to call your guild in? That'll be 3 dice.
Okay.
And do you want to push yourself?
That's cost 2. Yes, I do.
You're losing money not doing that.
it. Okay, so that would give me 4 dice.
That would give you 4 dice.
Okay. That's probably the only way I'll get a success. So, all right, here we go. Oh gosh, I just barely did okay. So look at all those ones.
So I believe that is 2 more ticks on the clock there.
It would cost a treasure though, right?
If you spent a treasure, you would get it completed.
Think it's worth it? We would have that use of it right away. I think it's actually good use of a treasure.
You just got a treasure from the gnolls, so easy come, easy go.
Yeah, they gave us some seeds. Awesome. Is that okay, Tyler? Is he there? I mean, of course, we would ask if Grunheld was okay with that.
Well,
I'm good with it.
Okay. So you have in that first year, you have built a farm and you have built the settlement area, like good, strong things. And there's still the possibility there's a second action. Dawson, what would you like to do for your second action?
I want to invent a new rune.
Okay. So that is, I believe, a project as well. Or is there another process for that?
It is, but it starts with negotiating for invention,
Okay.
which is page 173.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
So just folding in with the things that I've talked about and used already, I want to make sort of an upgraded version of that Whispering Rune. I want to make like a podcast rune that can like record up to an hour of speech in it and then play it back later for people.
That seems pretty basic. It's recording information, and I mean, it's substituting that for writing things down, and it's providing context and things. No one's gonna to say it's always the truth, of course, because magical rune things. Maybe somebody modifies it, but yeah, I think. What is it that has kept people? When you've seen these, we have a version of this. What has kept you from doing these smaller handheld ones? Is it a magical thing? Is it a worry about being recorded? Is it something else?
Let's go fully ridiculous. The adverse aspects of it. I think there's something about this rune and this like information sharing rune that's trying to reach out and interest people that pay attention to it. So a couple of times through the recording, there will just be strange voices that interrupt and whisper about things that you desire or want to you, and then it just goes back to the recording.
All right. So in that case, I will assign the drawback unreliable. And that is I think that's a 4-segment clock.
Cool. Then, yes. Stone Speak, I think.
That seems to that is the skill for it.
And I get +1 die to downtime actions when you work on runes, rituals, or research.
Okay.
So, I think I'm just going to beat me for this one. Not gonna.
You can spend stress after you roll to push up the result level.
Oh, that's interesting.
On this one.
Oh, I got a 6.
Got a 6, so that's 3 segments. Do you want to spend 2 stress to get it to a critical and get it done?
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Grunheld, what would you like to do for your second action?
Oh, sorry, that's me. I'm sitting here thinking.
That's okay.
I'm going to be indulging.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got to get rid of some stress.
So your lowest one is insight. So you're going to have to roll 2d6 and take the lowest result.
Yep. And mine is hoarding. So I think as I've set up our new living area, mine is noticeably larger.
Okay. I like that.
I might argue that an old lady needs to have her space,
Oh,
but
yeah.
regardless, that is the case. So I roll 2, taking the lowest, which sucks.
Still 2.
All right.
That
Drop
puts you
2
back down
stress.
within range. That's not too bad.
Oops, that was
Uh,
dosing. Sorry.
Tolan, what do you want to do for your second one?
Yeah, I should probably indulge my obsession.
Okay. And
Secret,
what is your obsession again?
secret crafting. I think actually at this point, given that we just got here, and I think I think what I do is find a secret place to craft.
Okay. You don't want anybody to watch you doing it.
Right, exactly. I don't want anybody watching me work. This is like I think that is part of why it's secret, because this is something that I'm not good at, and I hate to be bad at things. Um, so
I
I
think
think
so.
I try to find, a little out of the way place where nobody's going to see me working.
Okay. Roll 1d6.
All right. That's a 1.
It is unfortunately a 1. And Daggerel, you're muted.
I also need to indulge. I'm super stressed. So I think wandering is my thing. And I probably am going to wander around essentially the outdoors,
Okay.
the caverns. Everyone else is like, "Oh, caverns, awesome," and I'm like, "Nope." I've done enough scouting that I actually kind of hate being outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not as comfy as the caves, but there's something about it, and there's a lot of variety and a lot of ways to die, so it's pretty cool. All right, so I just roll 1d6, right?
2d6. You've got
2d6.
2 on all of your things.
Awesome. So 2d6. So my highest one is a 2.
So you will clear 2 stress.
Jeez. I just wish the dice had rolled nicely for me once. Okay. Here we go.
All right. We are going to talk end of the year. The settlement may roll to see how well it traded with its neighbors throughout the year. This is a fortune roll. Adding goods for trades can bring it up. So you're not at war. You're not particularly isolated. And I think we did see you kind of actively leveraging your trade deals, like you're actually doing that. Haven't cornered the market on specialty goods. So Tyler, could you roll me 2d6?
All righty. 6 and 2.
6 and 2. You will get 2 treasure.
All right. Somebody add that yet? I will add. We're up to 5 treasure. Very nice.
So this is us getting used to how the system works, figuring it out. A little rough here. We're getting it set. Let's do end of session XP. So let's start with Tolan. Tolan, do you think you performed your playbook specific XP trigger?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Do you think you expressed your beliefs, pursued your drives, honored your clan's legacy, showed us your background? Did we learn some stuff about you? Yeah, we saw you overindulge. We saw you farm. I mean, We learned
That's
some
true.
things,
That's true.
right?
The thing I wanted to build was a farm. That's
Absolutely. So you did it a couple of times, so I'm going to give you 2 points for that. You shared. We did that non-expedition scenes with the founders. We did that scene, so you get a point for that. Did you struggle with your obsession or weariness? I don't think so yet. Okay. And you can put those XP anywhere you'd like.
okay.
And I'm going to give everybody an extra first session, getting used to this thing, because Forge in the Dark is a painful game at times. Everybody gets a 2 additional XP to put wherever you'd like. You'll get that once a month. Next time you'll get it on my birthday. Patrick, did you perform your playbook specific XP trigger?
Yes, I addressed a problem with a rune. I not successfully, but I tried to distract that boule with my rune.
Absolutely.
Crowd,
Does that feel like worth a point? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Did you express your beliefs, pursue your drives, honor your clan legacy, or your background?
I sort of think with the clan legacy of like setting that like forged whispering crystal thing that we built, and then
Yeah.
sort of like looping back in to hit on that with like vocal recordings, oral histories seem very important to the clan.
Yeah. Give you a point for that. And you did a non-expedition scene, so you get another point for that.
Nice.
Grunheld, did you perform your playbook specific XP trigger?
I think I might in the building of that, going with a very traditional set.
Yeah.
For the settlement. Does that make sense?
That seems fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you express your beliefs, pursue your drives, or honor your clan legacy or your background?
I don't know if I hit any of that in particular. I need to come up with my belief. I haven't put that down yet.
And you get another XP for a non-expedition phase scene with the founder.
Excellent. Thank you.
Dagriel, sorry. So bad at names. So bad at getting them wrong. You are muted.
I misread my my thing, and I thought I had done it. But in fact, I used quartermaster, which doesn't use my supply. Though I did use my supply to get a thing done.
Yeah,
So
you used
that's
your
what-
guild, spent your supply on your guild. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yes, I did. that
So
one.
that's an XP.
Okay.
Did you express your beliefs, pursue your drives, or honor your clan legacy or your background?
Yes, I think
You did your whole scholar
yeah,
thing there.
yeah,
That seems
had a big
reasonable.
long conversation about how we ought to throw in with the gnolls, and yeah. So
Yeah.
sure.
I'll give you a point for that. Did you share? Yeah, you shared a non-expedition phase with other founders, so another point for that.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, if we'd like to do a quick stars and wishes, I will look at the entanglements thing, and if there are entanglements to be generated, I will generate those for the start of next time. Ethan, still in the hot seat as we get to the end. For Tolan, stars, wishes.
I mean, stars to everybody for like the settlement phase still feels kind of awkward, I think, like learning all these rules and looking them up. But up until then, like the expedition phase, everybody seemed to just, pick it up and go with it. Like there was more time spent actually doing things than trying to figure out the rules. So that was nice. It went nice. It went very smoothly, and I like these gnolls. They're not what I expect of gnolls, and that's cool. And the like old lady to old lady, discussion. I love that. That was very good.
Awesome. Wishes?
Um, it's always good to see more like interaction between PCs, which can be I don't know why it can be hard in Forged in the Dark games, but that's been my
No, I think
experience.
that's
So
traditionally been a thing. We're definitely gonna try, and I wanted to kind of move through things a little bit to
yeah,
get everything in today, but I think I definitely want to give more room for that to breathe for next time. Tyler.
This was a blast. It was nice to see us get through a year, kind of push through and see what it's going to look like. Um, I I like everybody's characters. They're a ton of fun. Um, Patrick's sort of bumbling into the stickly bushes and then being cleaned off, I think was a highlight. I loved that. Um, I liked seeing Toland in the kind of rear guard, fixing thing, and then kind of getting taken aback by the monster and all of that. That was really cool. I liked seeing Dagriel in the founders meeting and the sort of representing a split set of scholars being ready to argue from either side seemed cool. And then kind of oh, well, this went better than I thought it would. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Um, I think it's a neat preview to where we might see Dagriel and the scholars going forward. I thought that was really, really cool. So far I like this game. So big star to you running and how it seems to be made. Wishes. We're still learning. So, there's and it's got a lot of
Yeah,
moving
the claim
parts.
building is a lot. Like that's a
Yeah.
whole big subsystem. Yeah.
I will echo that I do want to see us interact with each other and kind of get an idea of what each of us is wanting and who we are as people. But another piece is I do kind of want to play with that exploring what we have in the mountain, spreading and seeing what we have there. I think that's going to be a lot of the fun.
One of the things that what I'd like for folks to do either between now and next time or after is take a look at the building list and maybe put together a short list for your mind of like, here are the 2 or 3 things that I would like to see either in the near future or for us to work towards. Like, what are the things that draw your eye? And that maybe we can talk about that to get some common ground on that to make that discussion a little bit easier. It is one of the places where the like this is not the kind of thing you have in other Forged in the Dark games. Usually it's okay, we got to move to this line on our crew sheet. And this is a thing with some significant impact and a lot to choose from.
And there's build ups. I mean, a lot of these things are which tier you're on, and did you build first building to get did you get your prereq to get the next building?
Yes. Patrick?
I really liked getting more of our settlement settled, finding out what's here, getting some more visuals in on stuff, and starting to explore the unexplored regions. I also really enjoyed the interaction with the gnolls. Like, I like that they were, we'd already established that they were sort of friendly and on our side, but I like that they were fun, that they were entertaining to interact with. And I also just like the little detail of like how shoddy their like metal craftsmanship was, but how like surprisingly intricate and smooth their wood crafted things were. Like it just gave a great visual of these very like intricately polished and grained wooden things. And Sherry, I also enjoyed Daggerel like busting into the founders meeting and being like, these are the things that we need to do, and I won't hear any arguments against it. Wait, did I miss the arguments? I don't hear your arguments against it.
Okay.
Just a great like character set up expectations sort of moment. That was good. Wishes, yeah, I'm mostly just hoping to smooth away the mechanical feel of things. This was very like, we don't know any of our actions, we don't know any of the like ticking beats of this game yet, so everything was very okay. Read the block text and feel out what this one does. Okay, now do I want to get the +1 here or there? And I'm hoping the familiarity will start to smooth those out, and we can start to like explore the fiction and the interest of the game.
Yeah, and I think once I get it under my belt, it'll be easier for me to manage and kind of moderate. It's definitely, I was picking up, okay, what's this mechanic and where does this go?
Yeah, and it was all at a totally appropriate level for where we are, because I needed to learn them. I need to become familiar with them too.
Mhm.
So it was we're at a good pace now. I'm hoping it evolves.
Sherry.
I think everyone said all the things because we had a lot of good stuff and the high points really popped. I'm enjoying getting the feel for the characters. I do think it's a good set together. I love the farmer crafter who still, when push comes to shove, the first thing they go to build is a farm because they know that they're critical. It's just, and I like the characters a lot. I think that they're an awesome set for a set of dwarves who are the founders and probably the strongest minded founders for the thing. I think the thing that we could use is that when we're planning those expeditions, once we've decided on what we do, it would be awesome if each of us could call one scene, maybe solo, but maybe other people in it, to like establish how we're getting ready for the expedition. Not in the not prep work, not downtime, because you have to do that kind of prep work like in the downtime issues, but just that sort of thing of like going, well, what do we want to do when we do this? But it is that time to do a little bit of role play and bring other people in on, hey, here's my agenda for this and those things. I think that would be good. We don't have to give it any mechanical stuff. I have played in games where there is mechanical things for those kinds of scenes. But they're so fun and they don't take long. They're, just a little bit of like, okay, so, if it turns out this way, can you back me up this way? Can you do this? Or I'm thinking this is what's going to happen. So what do you think I should take? Or I feel like I'm going to be useless on this. What should I do? Whatever.
I think that's really fair. It reminds me too, and I definitely think that's something we need to. I need to look at what the interaction is of the journey roll, and then we've got the approach roll, and they're two different things. And I want to look and see about like what the purpose in the game is of those two things, and how to make it so it doesn't feel like, okay, we make a roll, okay, make another roll kind of thing, so that we can figure out where the weight of that lies. So
I get the feeling we're with resource management, we may be wanting to push more than one expedition per year. And like there'll be so much cost to that we're on a shoestring to do some.
Well, here's the thing: is you don't get stress back between those. Like
Right.
that's the real problem there, is supply and stress. It is possible though. Downtime happens after each expedition, so conceivably you could do 2 expeditions, 2 downtimes, right? So it just, you wouldn't get your supply back.
It just seems like such a part of the game that I can't think that they aren't expecting you to do it.
It is a question of like how much the entanglements are a pressure to do, okay, from year to year. So I do think that the tone of the book is kind of 1 expedition per year, but you can do another one, but it's going to be hard. But I think it's good stuff to look at. We're going to play around with that and see how that works. I am going to stop the recording.